We're going to talk about ionic bonds, but the first thing we will do is a little review. Atoms form bonds because they want to have or be stable or happy. They want to fill that outer valence electron shell. Atoms also receive peace. They become stable with the 2-8-8 rule or the octet rule. So we've learned they can do this by moving electrons around. Okay, let's identify the compounds according to their bond type. So you will need to remember how a metallic is metal to metal, covalent is nonmetal to nonmetal, and ionic is nonmetal to metal. So you'll look up each of these elements on the periodic table first. So find magnesium on the periodic table and find oxygen. I'll do the first one with you. Magnesium is in group 2. This is on the left part, so it would be considered a metal. And oxygen is in group 16, and it's on the right part, in between those, the dividing line of metalloids. So it is a nonmetal. So what kind of bond does magnesium oxide have? Ionic. All right, go ahead and pause the video and go through and do the rest of these. Be sure and write down if they're metal and nonmetal, or metal to metal, or nonmetal to nonmetal. And then write down what type of bond they are. And then start the video again so you can double check. Okay. Silver, if you have silver to silver, that's metal to metal, so it would be a metallic. If you have copper and zinc alloy, copper and zinc, looked on the periodic table, are both metal to metal, so that would also be metallic. Nonmetal to nonmetal, hydrogen and sulfur would be covalent. Carbon and oxygen are also nonmetal to nonmetal. This also is covalent. Rhodium and bromine. Rhodium is a transition metal and bromine is a nonmetal, so that gives you ionic. So why do two ions stick together? We've already learned that ionic bonds form when one atom takes another atom's electron, or one atom loses an electron and one atom gains an electron. Remember, this forms a cation, a positive ion. So that is if an atom loses electrons, that it becomes positive because there are more positive protons than the electrons. And if an atom gains electrons, then it becomes negative ion, and it is called a negative anion. So, why can you not have two metals or two nonmetals forming an ionic bond? That is because to form an ionic bond, you have to have a metal plus a nonmetal, because metals will lose electrons, giving them positive charges. Nonmetals will gain electrons, giving them a negative charge. So you have to have this positive and negative for an ionic bond to form. Holy positivity, Batman! The major distinction with ions compared to other bond types is that they have these charges. Being charged comes with a set of rules that I would like for you to remember. The answer to these questions above, or the statement above, is ions form because opposites attract and the same or like charges repel. This positive, negative with opposites attracting, the same and like charges repel, this is a very common understanding physical concept.